Grace and peace, family. Grace and peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. My hotel. Namaste. Free the land, beloved. Come on in, come on in, come on in. You know what time it is. I am your sister with the curly braids, Vicki Dillard, and I am so pleased that you have joined me on my own new channel that we're building from the ground up. I know many of you are used to finding me on multiple other large channels that I've helped to build over the past several years. But now I'm investing in myself from scratch because I no longer have access to most of those platforms. So please let the world know that they can find their sister with the curly braids here on her own channel at vickydillard.tv, or they can go to YouTube and just hit Vicki Dillard TV. Thank you so very much, dear family. If you would, beloved, on the count of three, for those of you that haven't, please hit that thumbs up button, would you? And then share, share, share. We ask that you do that because it helps us with the algorithms. The algorithms are those things that are set within the computer that determines whether or not you can be seen by the public or not. And so you can help us to overcome some of that, not all of it, but you can definitely help us overcome some of that when we deliberately and intentionally share this link. When you post clips, when you post my quotes, of course, appropriate quotes, not somebody trying to be disrespectful or copycat. Somebody talk black to me. I've been getting so many different reports, but family, I can promise you that your sister is focused. Please know and understand that I understand that my assignment, and I used to say this all the time, but I tell you all, tell the audience that I'm not just a YouTuber. I use these social media platforms to get my message out, but my assignment is divine. I've had this assignment on my life for a long time, so it's no wonder a lot of the opposition. And it is my prayer that you are wise enough to discern the difference. And I shouldn't have to speak on and say a whole bunch of other stuff because my supporters are sending me all kinds of messages and links and telling me folks are hating on me, trying to destroy me. Beloved, ultimately, and where's my gavel? Y'all know that the Vicki Show is the home of the hand claps and the gavel raps. Please know that no weapon ultimately formed against me shall prosper. I'm not from here. I'm born for a specific tribe, for a specific people, for specific nations. And so this is my assignment. And when I'm done, beloved, I'm done. So I thank all of you so much for your prayers, your support. On the count of three, hit that thumbs up button and share, 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 share. 1, 2, 3, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, share, share, share. Share, 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 share. I see one of my moderators, Shalina, she was saying I'm working, but I'm here, sis, unreal spiritual. I know, beloved. I know some of you said that why do all the different people keep putting my name in their mouths and so forth? And, you know, this is spiritual. And I understand that, which is why I'm a spiritual teacher. This is a part of my assignment, and it's why testimonies and signs and wonders follow my work. So I'm only concerned about doing what I'm supposed to do. And so if you're not a part of that, that's okay. I'm just not for you, beloved. Just move on. But I'm sitting back and letting spirit deal with all seen and unseen opposers. I need to say nothing else, family. I'm not even trying to watch the stuff. You all keep sending me stuff, telling me stuff. But beloved, trust and believe. My high level, high ranking spiritual court has me. And I'm sitting back and I'm letting spirit fight for me. And thank you all so very much. Thank you so very much. Now let's get on to it. I want to speak today about the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Thank you, Derry, for your super chat. Your super chat is beloved, is blessed 1,000-fold. I want to speak on this very briefly today, because obviously I've been hearing from some of you wanting me to discuss what my thoughts are about Roe versus Wade. I was trying to let my Instagram family know that I was live. But anyway, by the way, all of you that attended yesterday's Sunday's amazing webinar, my Ancestor Webinar 3, specific revelations that I downloaded. Let me say that again. Specific revelations that I was privileged to channel and download from the higher realms. Authentic, unprecedented, talk black to me, came directly from the high realms. And I had an amazing special guest that came in and dropped some powerful jewels. It was amazing. Testimonies are already coming in. You are so blessed because I'm for a limited time making the replay available. If you are somebody that knows that there's more to life, this is for you. If you are somebody that knows that you are connected to an unseen force and you may not know exactly how to access that high level force, this is for you. If you feel like you're doing everything right, but you're not getting the results that you believe you deserve, this is for you. If you know that there is another way to be limitless, if you know that your only power is not just voting, if you know that your only power is not just the money that you get from your 9 to 5, if you know that there is more and you don't know how to access it, beloved, I can teach you how to tap into your supernatural gifts that's already on the inside of you. This is for you. So the replay is available now. And I believe I put it in the description a little bit ago, right when I was coming on. But you can get the replay right now, beloved, at onpurposewithvicki.com or Vicki Planet. How many of you all know there's a such thing as Vicki Planet? God, today they're working on my website. I'm so excited, family. I am so excited. It's still a work in progress, but they're making progress. And pretty soon I'll have my spiritual school available, Vicki University. No longer Club Vicki, but Vicki University, where I will be able to start doing my spiritual classes again. And I'll be able to have the capacity to do it on my own. Even though I was working under Club Vicki before, I did not own Club Vicki. And I also don't have access to the email list of my former students. I just pinned it, VickiPlanet.com. Go there to get the replay. Go there to get on my email list. So that you'll know what's going on. So get the replay for a limited time. Invest that in yourself. I'm going to keep saying it. If you want something you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done. If you don't want to die average, if you don't want to die mediocre, if you want to shape your life in this world, in this time, as well as your children, this is for you. I did almost 3 hours. It was about 2 hours, 45 minutes, almost 3 hours. And I had a yummy special guest, a master spiritual teacher, to come in to add to it so that we can help you take your life to the next level. Get it today. The link is in the chat and it's also pinned, VickiPlanet.com, or you can go to onpurposewithvicki.com. Thank you so very much. Now, let's get on into this topic. I'm speaking on the real reason Roe versus Wade was overturned. For those of you, I'm sure many of you by now have heard. I'm reading now from this CNN piece that says that the latest on the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. Let me just give you just a couple of bullet points that most of you may already know by now. The Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade on Friday, holding that there is no longer a federal constitutional right to an abortion. Going forward, abortion rights will be determined by states unless Congress acts. Meanwhile, a fourth day of demonstrations both for and against the court's decision was planned today in several locations across the U.S. following a weekend of packed protest. Now, and I want you to understand, now I'm switching to the Guardian newspaper. I want to specifically talk about the so-called Supreme Court of the United States that was responsible for this decision. Look at this headline from the Guardian. Can you all see that? Everybody, thank you so much for hitting that thumbs up button and share. I know I'm very, very early. That's okay. But thumbs up, share. Yes, whoever told me that, thank you so very much. I sure did put it in there wrong. Thank you, beloved. Thumbs up, share, family. Thank you so very much. Let me see if I can do it now. VickiPlanet.com. Thank you, precious. Whoever caught that. Now, this Guardian newspaper says Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you all know that she's a Congress member. She says that Brett Kavanaugh, one of the Supreme Court justices, calls for Supreme Court justices to be impeached. The Congresswoman says that Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch lied under oath to Congress about their views on Roe. Political pressure is mounting on Joe Biden to take more action to protest abortion rights across the U.S. as firebrand New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called for Supreme Court justices to be impeached for misleading statements about their views on Roe versus Wade. Ocasio-Cortez's remarks took aim at Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch. Both were appointed by former President Donald Trump and had signaled that they would not reverse the Supreme Court's landmark 1973 decision in Roe versus Wade during confirmation hearings, as well as in meetings with senators. On Friday, Kavanaugh and Gorsuch formed part of the conservative majority, which in effect ended legal access to abortion in most states. And Ocasio-Cortez said there must be consequences for that. Quote, "They lied," the left-wing second-term representative said on NBC's Meet the Press. "I believe lying under oath is an impeachable offense, and I believe that this is something that should be very seriously considered." Now, dear family, let me tell you all something. Thank you, Christopher, for your gift. Your gift is blessed, beloved, 1,000-fold. By the way, for those of you that are wanting to know how you can contact me, my contact information is on my website under contact page. My Cash App information and other links are in the description. Thank you so very much for your support. I've been behind on posting some of the packages I've received over the past couple of weeks for some of my beautiful supporters. But I do, if you give us your name and address, some of you want to remain anonymous, but if you give us your information, my team always makes sure that they give me thank you cards, and I personally send you thank you cards. So thank you all so much. Now, let me say this. You all know that whenever we are on record as saying that we don't advocate for abortions, people automatically try to label us as right-wing, right? We don't mind that, which is the problem when Black folks try to call themselves Democrats or call themselves a Republican, or we try to associate ourselves with these labels that any random white supremacist can claim. That's why you sound crazy. That's the reason why we emphasize the importance of being Black first, meaning that you're for the interest of foundational Black Americans, Native Black Americans, Black Americans that are responsible for the building and the upkeep of these United States of America. Talk Black to me. So I don't mind folks saying, "Oh, Vicki, you're conservative because you don't advocate for abortions." We're fine with that. But you're not going to pigeonhole us and put us in a box. Now, I'm going to say this. My commentary on this issue of Roe versus Wade is not just about someone saying you're taking someone's life if you agree with abortion. I am first spiritual in my commentary, which is why, and quote me, don't ever get me confused with your little random talking heads that's on these different platforms. You might find common ground in much of what I say, but I notice that when I say something, some of you don't like it if it deviates from some of the other voices in Black media that you hear. Now, even though, for example, I showed mad respect to Kevin Samuels and agreed with a lot of what he said, the moment I came to check him for saying that the Black woman was the most ugliest, it was the most unattractive universal female on the planet. When I showed you clips of him saying that we should be like dogs, some of you came against me. Where they do that at? Some of you compared me to some of my other male colleagues and male counterparts that are in the Black space. You don't respect me as a divine feminine speaking, knowing that you can't even get in the planet. You can't come to earth unless you come through us. I bowed and showed respect to my brothers. But when I gave my divinely informed opinion, you disrespected me, which showed your utter weaknesses and the smallness of mind and your inability to show the bandwidth, the mental and spiritual bandwidth to understand that there is more than what meets the eye. Even when I agreed with some of what Kevin said, even when I showed respect, you disrespected me. And I still kept going. You know why? Because I'm not here based on what you think I should and shouldn't say. So this issue with abortion is bigger than Vicki not advocating abortion. This is also metaphysical and spiritual. There's a divine feminine element to what's happening on earth. And people that rock with me spiritually, that attend my spiritual courses and classes, people that are registering to be a part of Vicki University that's coming up soon, that's under Vicki Planet, you would understand so that you're not so one-dimensional. So take a deep breath and sit back. Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch, I do believe, lied. Neil Gorsuch was a federal judge right here in the state of Colorado. Many of you all that follow me should know that I was born and raised in Mississippi, but now I live in the state of Colorado. Your sister, who's untrained in law and who fought a lot of civil cases, both in the federal court, state court, local courts, for multiple reasons, without the assistance in many cases of legal counsel, which means I was representing myself as known in the state as pro se. I was not just dealing with banks. I was not just dealing with real estate and evictions and other such things. Your sister also was responsible for suing judges. Don't play with it. Slowness. This is for the haters that run their mouths. This is for the knuckleheads that want to try to use the white man's record on me and try to act like they don't understand the good work your sister was doing in challenging the powers that shouldn't be. I was familiar with Neil Gorsuch because I was dealing with him as one of the judges on a panel in federal court in the state of Colorado. So please be seated. He did lie, and so did Brett Kavanaugh, in my opinion. Not only that, some of you are not even upset that there was credible evidence that Brett Kavanaugh had actually sexually assaulted folks and that it was known for a long time, and that mostly the Republicans, and we see now some of the Democrats, helped to cover up what he did. Some of you are ignorant to the fact, but I was keeping up with a lot of legal stuff because your sister was put in that space, not because I initially wanted to be. Civilly, before I ever went through my own unjust trial. Brett Kavanaugh, some of you that don't know, also worked, I believe, under the Bush administration. They have him on record as having lied when he was working under the Bush administration. And they allowed them just to do what they do. So regardless of where you stand on the issue of abortion, and obviously I'm not for it, there are many moving parts to this issue that are actually legitimate. But I'm not giving you this information so that you can be bogged down with one or the other. I'm trying to throw some things out so that you can understand and consider this in our calculus to push for the interest of Black people. Talk Black to me. Thumbs up, share, share, share. So yes, it should not be out of the question that judges should be impeached, because when I tried to hold judges accountable both in court legally, because they were operating outside of their official capacity, they were actually in many cases, in some of my civil cases, operating in their personal capacity, which is why I sued them. In a separate way, you're supposed to hold judges accountable through certain committees and through an alternative way where they're supposed to hold judges accountable through regulatory agencies. Those regulatory agencies I found in my case were actually rigged. They appointed people on those regulatory agencies that would intentionally try to dissuade you from making a record and bringing a complaint or a grievance against the judge. And then they gave me boggled up legal language so that I would believe that I didn't have the legal right to try to check a judge in court because he, quote unquote, was really supposed to represent the law and the government and the state, and he's protected. Do you understand? What is this really about? What's really behind the overturning of Roe versus Wade? Preserving white life is what this is about. The recent census came out, showed that the blackening and the browning of America is happening actually at a faster rate than we knew it was going to go down. Than we knew. We already knew. It was already foretold. It was foreseeable. The scientists, demographers, statisticians, and others had already showed in no limited time this is exactly what's happening. More than that, spiritually, philosophically, it was prophesied hundreds and even thousands of years ago that the newest people on our planet, there will be a reduction in their numbers. Talk black to me. So this is that fear, and they're trying to protect themselves legally. This is clear. What I want you to understand, though, dear family, is that this is also a topic, and I'm adding another element to this, that the Democratic Party, even though many of them are outraged, those in high levels of government like Joe Biden, they're really happy because they're going to use this to galvanize voters for the upcoming elections because Joe Biden's numbers have plummeted. Kamala's numbers have plummeted. The overall Democrats' numbers have plummeted. So they needed something strong to anger their base, to mobilize their base, to get them out. The problem with this is that they're using this issue to blame black men, and they're using black folks to join in to push this issue. That's the problem here. They know that this is going to upset their base. So they're hoping that this is going to be a lifeline because their numbers are low, the economy's bad, gas is high, talk black to me, inflation, recession. So they need something that's going to mobilize and encourage the base to show up, even though everything else is going to hell in a handbasket. Talk black to me. So you must understand that so that you don't get caught up in that, which is why we need to stay focused on cut the check. Why we need to stay focused on reparations for black people. Are y'all hearing me? But what I need you to understand also is this, by trying to act like Republicans too, most of us know better. But for the 2 or 3 of you that's out there in La La Land, there has never been a time that you're openly racist part of white supremacy. Because remember, your Democrats, they're the ones that smile in your face all the time, trying to take your place, the backstabbers of the backstabbing side of white supremacy. See, the Democrats are racist, but they smile like some of your enemies out there. The Democrats are the friendlier side of white supremacy. And the Democrats are offended when we don't push for them. The liberals are offended when we as black people, they just think we owe them our allegiance. So they're offended when we say, no, we see that you're the racist and the backstabber that you are. And I know some of you experience that in your own life, don't you? You got people that say that they're supporters of yours. They smile in your face and they smile in the face of the public, but behind the scenes, all the while, dogging and undermining and sowing seeds. The Democrats are upset because we point to the fact that they've done nothing substantive for us. They get upset because they say, well, we show up to your barbecues. They say we showed up to 2 or 3 of your fish fries. We went to your church and put on your robe and sang in your choir that one day. But when we say, but you didn't push for any substantive legislation for us, you did it for the white Afghans. You did it for the Ukrainians. You did it for the LGBTQ. You did it for the AAPI, the Asian Pacific groups. You did it for white women, of course, and white men through loopholes and other such things. But you didn't do it for us. They get mad because they say, but we went to we ate your chicken. We ate fried chicken together. Remember? They don't want us to see them for who and what they are. So don't be tricked by the Republicans who you know darn well have never cared about Black life. You've never found or heard of any Republican that actually cared about the preservation of Black people. Stop playing. And we understand the same goes for your Democratic Party. Somebody say, prove it again, Vicki. For those of you that really rock with me, you already know where I'm going with it. Talk black to me. Y'all know where I'm going with this, don't you? Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for purposes such as fair use, criticism, comment, news, teaching, reporting. Where am I at with that? Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for purposes such as fair use, criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips to balance and fair use. How many of you remember just a year and a half, 2 years ago, when Joe Biden secured the presidency, he was just waiting 2 months to take the oath of office. What he said to Black people
is doomed.
What did you say, Joe?
This country is doomed.
What did you say?
This country is doomed. This country is doomed.
Before I hit play again, whose voice are you listening to recently? After Black folks made him president, Joyless Reed, Don Lemon, Rolanda Martina, Roland Martin and them, and all of your black-face looking people, black-looking people that are sitting on these high platforms. Your so-called Black activists, your so-called street activists. Why did they cover up that Joe Biden said this?
This country is doomed. This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. Hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics.
You hear this, fool? I'm going to keep playing this. I'm going to keep reminding you that Joe Biden said this. Not 50 years ago, not 40 years ago, not 30 years ago, not 20 years ago, not 10 years ago. He said it when he was officially nominated as president of the United States, and he was just waiting for January to take the oath of office. And in the presence of your dead Black civil rights leaders, that includes but not limited to your Reverend Al Sharpton, who needs to go eat, your NAACP folk, your Urban League folk, and others, Joe Biden said what again? I'm trying to remind you that your liberal side, your Democratic side, don't care about Black life either. Don't get it twisted.
This country is doomed. This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. Hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics.
This is the fear of both the Republicans and the Democrats. Don't you forget it. But this isn't just about abortion. We already know the story of Margaret Sanger. We already know the story of Hillary Clinton. Sometimes they call her Killary Clinton and others. The reason why we specifically mention these white women is because I have taught you all for years, almost as long as I have been on some of the previous large platforms that I helped to build over the years. I have reminded you that the white supremacist woman, female, Miss Jane, is sometimes the most ferocious and the most dangerous white supremacy. Not only because she's responsible for creating and building and birthing these white supremacist terrorists that still kill, destroy, and murder, but because she teaches and embeds these things in them, and she comes with a friendly face. She's able to emit her poison of anti-Black white supremacy, anti-Black racism through schools, through PTAs, through churches, through social societies, groups. Talk Black to me. Who said it? Because I said so. You remember? Oh, yes, Jane Elliott. I saw another Black person quote Jane Elliott video the other day, because Jane Elliott is a white woman that many of you Black folks paid to come to your Black schools. Many of you seek her out and pay her big fat honorariums so that she can speak at your conferences, because this white woman talks about white people being racist. But when you ask that white woman about reparations, she shows her true anti-Black colors. Some of your oppressive class don't mind admitting white supremacy exists amongst their people. They only get mad when you tell them they better do something about it. They show and flex their white supremacy's colors when you say there's accountability. Some of them will say, yeah, my people racist. They racist. Yeah, they better cut that out. The test is not whether they'll admit it. They know Black folks, enough Black folks they know don't care about substance. They know some of you will go sit down as long as they come eat chicken with you and fry fish, slowness. As long as you don't demand reparations and true accountability, some of them will admit it all day long. Why? Because nothing will be done about it. I've given you overwhelming evidence, historical evidence. Research this about the WKKK. The WKKK is the women's Ku Klux Klan. The women Ku Klux Klan were not just those that were making the Ku Klux Klan outfits for their male counterparts. When they formed their own auxiliaries, it's why they called them the most dangerous parts of the KKK. As I mentioned just a moment ago, because they were able to feed that poison as Sunday school teachers, through churches, through their religious organizations, through social organizations, through schools, through PTAs, and other such spaces. And I gave you guys overwhelming evidence during a study of a beautiful Black professor that showed that 40% during the 10-year census in a particular area that this Black professor did. Y'all know all I do is receipts. And of course, I quoted this many times before. I read excerpts from the book. What book? Professor Stephanie, let me get her full name. Stephanie Jones Rogers. I just looked it up. Stephanie Jones Rogers. This is the book that I quoted to you guys before from on many occasions. Get this book. They were her property, rather, not slaves. They were her property. In this book, one of the excerpts that I read to you was the fact that when our sister, this Black professor, did a 10-year study, a 10-year census in a particular area, she found that the white woman owned 40% of those slaves. Research came out that it was the white woman in many instances that set up the Black woman to be raped by other enslaved Black males. And this beautiful Black sister, Stephanie Jones Rogers, Professor Stephanie Jones Rogers, broke down the fact that the white woman set up, in many instances, the white man to rape the Black woman. So when you guys talk about white women weren't able to vote for 5 minutes, that doesn't make any difference when it comes down to the bottom line, because the white woman benefited from her white male counterpart enslaving them. That's a minor blip. That's a technicality. Who cares about a legal technicality when at the end of the day, your pockets are fat? And in many instances, as I broke down, it's a lie that white women didn't have a lot of the other different legal rights. They get off of these other topics. Many white women, as children, as babies, as infants, their fathers and their mothers passed down slaves to them. They were some of the most vicious. Lady B says, yes, Vicki, we read the whole book in Twitter Spaces. Shout out to that. How many of you all know that your sister Vicki was quoted from this book even before Twitter came up with their Twitter Spaces? Shout out to Twitter Space. We've been on the front line before your sister gained traction, before CNN came after me, before MSNBC came after me, before The View came after me. They was worried about what your little sister with the curly braids with a laptop and a cell phone. When I was going live from the hospital bed, when I couldn't hardly see, when I couldn't walk for a brief period, when I was having blood issues, when I was having major issues with one of my organs. And I'm dealing with people talking about me. I'm dealing with people doing open public threats to take my life and to incite violence amongst others. To the silence of many people that were supposed to have my back. And you just won't keep my name out your mouth. But the reason you won't is because every time you open your mouth, you testify to my assignment on the earth. That's why these unprecedented attacks that you guys are telling me about don't make no sense. But in the spirit realm, they do. It's not my job to defend myself. My spiritual high court got this on lock. That's what I want to bring up to you about that. But I want to bring up something else to my people. Two things, and I got to run. Number one, you all know that I did very respectful and careful broadcast on the pandemic, right? You all know that I had to do a couple of powerful webinars that were wildly successful with my brother Rizza Islam offline. I called it an underground webinar because some of the platforms kept trying to censor me, right? And you all know I was barely even using the official word, right? I wasn't even getting into the details of what they were putting in the shots, but yet they were still coming after me. They were still trying to censor me on all these big platforms, right? We got to be careful with our thinking, family. And this is the challenge of the Democrats. But this is also the challenge for the Republican side. If you say they don't have the right to force you to take a shot, they were trying to tell you that the government has the right to force you to take that shot. That's where a lot of it was leading to in some ways, right? When I say force, I mean, if you didn't, some folks were losing their jobs. In the government, remember, if you didn't agree to do it, if you had a job with the government, let me be clear. If you had a job with the federal government in some places, if you contracted with the federal government, remember, they had certain policies and protocols to prevent you from continuing to work in the government or continue with contracts. Of course, a lot of that has been overturned now. Is that right, family? They say they didn't force you. But remember, celebrities and superstars, they tried to make their lives a living hell if they didn't agree to get the shots. Remember, we kept saying we had the right to choose what we do with our bodies, right? Now, don't forget, that's right, travel restrictions. People were losing their homes. Exactly, beloved. Some folks weren't able to shop or eat at certain places. Think about that. But watch this. Some of you, other folks were saying, well, this has to do with life and death. And some of you said, well, I'm willing to make that choice for my life. But you don't have the right to force me to take it. Where does that train of thinking comes in this topic of abortion, family? Somebody said, what's the name of that book again? They Were Her Property. They Were Her Property by Stephanie E. Jones Rogers. This is how it looks. They Were Her Property. Y'all know I'm always dropping signs. I don't just be on here banging gavels and stuff. You all know I had to slow down with my schedule because I got to take care of my health. I have a lot of enemies out there, seen and unseen, big, small, and in between, that's wishing hurt and harm on your sister. So yes, I've got to withdraw and take care of myself. The people that should have come to my aid, or the people that pretended to be for me, that acted like they came for my aid, look at how they're acting now. While I'm dealing with death threats and acts of violence. But it's okay. I don't stand alone, even though for some of you it looks like I do, but I don't. Thank you, Bubba, for your gift. Your gift is blessed 1,000-fold. You said my people don't put on the cape for these liberals. They're already trying to make us mascots for their agenda. Exactly, which is why I was saying they're even trying to make the black man the face of this topic. Y'all know I don't have no love for that raccoon on the Supreme Court. We don't need to defend Clarence Thomas' funny looking self when he's got him a whole Becky, and the entire time, the decades he's been up there, he's been giving black folks the middle finger. However, it is noticeable that they're not saying, and this is what I put on my Instagram page, because I saw this posted elsewhere. These other 4 Supreme Court justices, including a white woman, they're not saying anything about them. It was majority them. You got your white liberals now that's calling Clarence Thomas the N-word. Think about that. Your Democratic liberal side, the one that tells you that they love you, the friendlier face of white supremacy, they're calling Clarence Thomas the N-word, and they ain't got nothing to say about Becky and the other white Supreme Court justices. Remember, if the court is a 6-3 conservative, don't ever forget that. The white woman don't do what's in her best interest. That's why all of that Me Too mess, sit down. And they used Tarana Burke. They played, again, a black woman's face for that Me Too. They pimped you. So I want you to keep that in mind. Where do you stand on that? If some of you can say that the government can't force you to take a shot, then you got to ask yourself this question about this topic. And so do the Republicans. Because if the Republicans feel like that's the case, then they got to make that make sense. It was the liberal Democratic Party that was mostly trying to force us to do the shots and the vacations. Y'all know I'm using the word vacation for the other word. So how do you reconcile that contradiction? I'm talking to both sides. But not only that, this is one thing I want to tell black folks. I want you to keep this in mind. As someone that does not promote abortions, I got to keep saying that for the slowness. You got some knuckleheads that'll play dumb, like they don't understand what I'm saying. And they may not, because you're not on that level to know that there's something that's happening in the unseen realms. If you take the story of Moses just on its face, multiple male boys were allowed to be murdered by the Most High. If you read the story on its face, like some of you do, I know there are multiple interpretations and revelations to one text. I know that the scripture is a book of magic, even though it's been tampered with, because many of the principles that were in scripture were actually stolen principles from ancient black texts, specifically Kemetic texts. But that's another story. If you read the story based on the way many black folks that are a part of the Judeo-Christian in some way or another, whether you are officially practicing it directly or indirectly, you had a family, friend, loved one, neighbor, somebody that espoused Judeo-Christian beliefs. If you take the interpretation of the story of Moses the way many of you were raised to believe, the Most High allowed most of the male boys to die to save the life of that one, Moses. How do you reconcile that? During the time of Jesus and Herod, if you read the story based on the way the average Judeo-Christian believer, directly or indirectly, teach that story, You're told that an angel spoke to Joseph to tell him and Mary to go flee to Egypt because they were going to try to kill the baby Jesus. But the Most High, if you read it the way you all teach it and are told about it, he allowed all the other baby boys to die. Reconcile that. Why am I mixing that in with this topic? I'm trying to tell you that we must not promote genocidal efforts to take out Black people. But you've got to also understand that there are multiple moving parts where the universe multiverse is at work, by and through the ancestral team, by and through our spirit guides, by and through our spiritual court and government. And there are multiple agendas, multiple strategies that are being worked at one time. And for you all to consider these things. And finally, there are many unstable females that have no business utilizing abortion as, just to do it because, sometimes I just want to lay down, so I'm just going to go get abortion, and not to mention the male's responsibility for impregnating such women. There is an abuse, there's an exploitative element to every area of society. Why am I bringing this up? The President of the United States is given unprecedented power to kill. Congress, the folks that many of you elect, are given unprecedented power to murder by and through their policies they create. Judges have unprecedented power of life and death. Your military, who we can prove were misused by the government to murder whole groups of people, are given unprecedented power of life and death. Your police are given unprecedented power of life and death. And in every one of those instances, we can prove on multiple occasions how they misuse their power in every single instance, over and over again, especially when it came down to anti-Black genocide. Judges, presidents, government leaders, world leaders, military and police. But you single out the female who has been given divine right, the fact that our bodies are the only ones that can make humans, develop them and birth them, I should say. We need, obviously, the fertilization of the brother sperm. You need to think on, we are seeing the murder and genocide of our people in other multiple ways, but we don't see this same kind of energy for those to whom you still give power of life and death. It is not, I repeat, it is not a justification to unnecessarily and unjustly abort a Black baby in particular. But I'm your spiritual sister whose voice exceeds just political chit chat. I'm giving you other things to consider. And that's all I'm going to say on that for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Vicki Show. Again, it's going to take the world a while to find me because I'm so used to being on multiple other large platforms in multiple places. I no longer have access to those spaces for multiple reasons. So please let them know that I'm starting my own channel, going live on a regular basis here at Vicki Dillard TV on YouTube, or you can reach me directly here at vickidillard.tv. Please be sure to check out my website at Vicki Planet. That's VICKI planet.com, or you can go to onpurposewithvicki.com. I have a whole bunch of yummy products, webinars, t-shirts, and other things there. I love you so much. I got an upcoming meeting. I'm your sister with the curly braids. Be sure to share this broadcast. Be sure to think on what I say. Listen and re-listen. Have this conversation with your families. And for God's sakes, make sure that you're not promoting the anti-Black, anti-genocidal agenda against our people. but also make sure that you have an understanding of the workings of the world and the unseen world so that we'll know how to conduct ourselves moving forward. I can't wait to talk to you soon. I see you, Daryl, with those beautiful compliments saying thank you for your gorgeous. I see my other brothers and sisters in the chat with your beautiful compliments. Those of you who have been reaching out to me, trust me, I'm not ignoring your messages. I'm not ignoring your message. In fact, I posted a few of them on the community page at VickiDillard.tv. I posted a few of them on Twitter at DillardVicki. It's just that I cannot absorb those that hate me. I can't absorb their content. I can't give it more attention than I should. I'm relying on my spiritual court. You all don't know the life I've lived over the past 43 years. My court is quite capable of handling any campaign against me, no matter how long it takes. Just know I love you and I appreciate you. Thank those of you that have spoken out for me, those of you that are discerning and intelligent enough to poke through the holes. I shouldn't have to say nothing. It's not my job to run behind every little thing that somebody is saying or doing because I'm not giving my attention to everybody's getting to CC. I refuse. I'm staying focused. I love you so much. And I bow to you. You are my bliss. I cannot wait to see you again.